Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. If you've seen the last couple of videos, I know what's going on, but for those of you who missed it, we are currently back in the optimism zone. I don't know why it took us so long to get back here, but current mindset is, at the time of me making this video, that at the end of March, going into quarter two, that is to say April, May, and June, the cryptocurrency market is expected to have a boom cycle, a complete, gigantic, accelerated hyper movement upwards. And that is currently where we are right now. We've been going over that every analyst in general has been relatively positive about the space. None, as far as I can tell, the most pessimistic was Arthur Hayes, but that seems to also have drizzled away. I'm not really sure. So what we have now is every analyst screaming from the mountaintops that we're about to re-experience the craziest bull run that we've ever had in our entire lives. Macro guru and Real Vision chief executive, his name is Raoul Pal, also hearing a lot more about him in the last month or so, says it is within the realm of possibility for crypto to witness an extended bull run this cycle. I'll try and give you that idea very quick. A lot of people are once again screaming that cycles are over. If you missed that, the idea is that we're in like a weird time shift, kind of. Bitcoin hit its previous all-time high months earlier because of the Bitcoin ETFs. And because of that shift, people think that cycles are going to be relatively different and or have ended. I don't think cycles have ended per se. That's more of a very niche idea. The other side is basically, because of all this attention that we have being paid to crypto now, we are used to the general cycles the year after the halving, kind of ending around winter time, more or less, somewhere around there. However, people think that this could be extended and it might go on a lot longer than we are actually used to. In a new video update, the Goldman Sachs executive told people on YouTube that the second phase of what he's calling the banana zone, a term coined by him to refer to a period of rapid and explosive growth for the price of digital assets, will expand into 2026. We would normally see around October, November, December, normally we would see the cycle beginning to wear itself out, kind of. This is not the first time that we've had someone talk about the market extending a little bit further, and I guess we don't really have a choice, so we'll have to see if it actually ends up taking place. He said, and I quote, "But by the back end of March, we should start to see price accelerate, and then in April, May, and June, we should see some really significant price action at the second phase of the banana zone as it kicks in." If you weren't here the last couple of videos, do you remember, if you were here even, do you remember the date that we were talking about? If you missed it, there was multiple, but there was one in particular. He said the 25th of March. He gave an exact date. He said the 25th of March, the bull run is going to reignite. And I need to reiterate, every other analyst has stated that by the end of March, it's going to get real. This is, and I say this the same as I said it last summer. It's weird for me when analysts kind of align with each other because it's never usually a thing. Typically in crypto, as in every other market, we tend to see analysts, got it, but they all have varying degrees and levels of where and when and how things are going to happen and take place. For some reason, they're all lining up recently. And I mean like the last year. And I don't know how to take it just because we never get this kind of like agreement on anything. He said, so we had the start of the banana zone. We are now in a correction phase 1 that happens each and every time. He said, look at 2017. It's almost identical. Then we go into March, April, and May. We start accelerating up again into the next phase of the banana zone, and then we'll have another correction. And you'll be going, oh my gosh, it's all over. You'll be gripped with fear all over again. Then we'll have the final top into the end of the cycle. He has a little chart right here as well. If you remember maybe a month or two ago, and I want to give you like a good 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I did mention this before when everyone was kind of panicking. And I said in a video, I said, this thing doesn't really, it's not that it doesn't affect me. Let me be completely honest with you. Of course, like I only want prices to go up. But I've said before, a lot of people keep complaining that they want prices lower so that they can accumulate more. And I was like, okay, buddy boy, you got your wish. You know, the prices are lower. We've seen this kind of drop before. What ends up happening is, as every single time, is that retail investors get wiped out. Whales buy up all the coins. And now we have an accelerated market where we're looking at, you know, it's not just people in crypto who are buying it. We're now talking about like mega banks and institutions and countries buying. So how anyone could be remotely bearish, it just tells me that this is either your first time or you have no idea what you're doing. Because if you've been here for any other cycle, you've seen this before. So yes, Raoul Pal now joining the leagues of other analysts talking about, once again, the end of March into Q2 and how rapidly and awesomely amazing this cycle is going to be. I guess this has to be tying directly into it. Michael Saylor's back in the news, never one to shy away from some kind of a statement on the cryptocurrency space and or Bitcoin. This isn't surprising by any stretch of the imagination. You'll see why. Strategy's executive chairman, his name is Michael Saylor, recently told CNBC that Bitcoin's market cap is on track to reach 20 trillion US dollars and then eventually going to $200 trillion as a market cap. If you missed one of the most recent videos, I want to say a day or two ago, I don't know why it sticks in my head like as very, very recent. We had Jack Mallers, who is like one of the uber Bitcoin maximalists that we have on the planet. And there was some other analyst, was it from Fidelity? I don't remember. Basically, nearly both discussing that Bitcoin's market cap right now is egregiously low. And I think it was Jack Mallers who said that he's expecting and waiting for and expecting Bitcoin's market cap to, and this is not a joke, he said he's expecting Bitcoin's market cap to do a 400 to a 500x. He was discussing the world's money supply and assets on the planet and allocation, and so and so and so. He said he's expecting, and I lightly air quote here, between a 400 to a 500 trillion dollar market cap for Bitcoin. And this is usually, whenever we hear those big boy numbers, it usually is like a 15, 20 year time frame from right now. Saylor argued that the US should acquire Bitcoin. If you missed that as well, He's been saying that for the past couple of weeks. It sounds a little crazy because it is. He softened his stance by previously stating that he thinks the United States should have 50% of all Bitcoin. Now he says he wants the United States to acquire between 10 to 20% of all the Bitcoin and have control over the network. He said the U.S. should acquire Bitcoin as part of a strategic crypto reserve, calling it the greatest economic program of the 21st century. Saylor, a longtime Bitcoin advocate, has engaged with policymakers from both political parties, including members of the Trump administration. In an interview, he positioned Bitcoin as an asset class that does not compete with the US dollar, but rather with global equities and real estate. Well, he's lying to himself and everyone else in the room. The point of Bitcoin is basically to get away from the old system. The old system is the US dollar. The US dollar continues to lose value against other currencies and also against Bitcoin. So, not sure why you're lying there. He said right now, we're about $2 trillion in Bitcoin. It's going to 20 trillion. Then it's going to 200 trillion. Then it's growing 20% a year. Michael Saylor, very similar to Samson Mao, and third person, whenever there's like a list of multiple people, by the time I get to number 3 or 4, I'm like Scooby-Doo. I just don't remember who the other person was. There's a growing amount of, and I'll say it this way, people who have obtained their wealth from Bitcoin, who are now discussing that these are the cycle is over people, who think that basically every single year, going forward, we won't really have a bear market per se, but more of a slow movement up over the course of a year, every single year. And I say slow because usually crypto tends to go up 15, 20, 30, 45, 3, 4, 5x in price over the course of a bull run. But if you remember Samson Mao, was it Plan B as well? It might have also been Plan B. Maybe that's the third name. Who kind of believe that, and I mean it's logical. Last year we were talking about it. They believe that any time that in the future that anyone sells, the price will still go up. Why, you might ask? Because there's going to be buy orders from governments and institutions and banks and hedge funds waiting for you to sell your coin so that they can buy it up again. So any selling pressure will be completely obliterated, as there will only be tons of buying pressure to try and absorb everything. So like I said, this isn't surprising. No one should be shocked that Michael Saylor thinks that Bitcoin is going to 10x and then 100x subsequently. So cool. Yeah. It's, it's nice to see the optimism back in the market. I take things day by day. I know it's not the easiest thing to do in life or in any market, but I've been here before so many other times. I see the fear thrown into the market. I see people panic. I see prices like dramatically go down. If you've been here since 2016, hello. If not otherwise, we go through this every single cycle. But it's difficult to explain to people that this is like a normal cycle move, as far as like prices go up really high and then slam back down. Remember I told you last year, this was around, I want to say March or April. One of my friends, his father got into the space. He saw everyone else making money. He's like, I want to do it too. He put 1,000 into the market and prices were going up. And he was messaging my friend. My friend said almost every morning. He's like, did you see? Another $100 that went up. And he was like, yeah, okay, Dad, that's awesome. When the prices went down, his father was panic calling him at 2 o'clock in the morning. Should I sell? Am I selling? Am I selling right now? Should I sell? And he's like, what are you? Am I selling? The price went down. You can't explain to someone who's new to the market that it's a market move. It's just like part of the actual cycle. So he had to talk his dad like 5 times. And first of all, be like, stop calling me at 2 in the morning. but just being like, no, just buy and don't touch it. Just leave it alone. But it takes a while for people to actually get to that point, because I know, not even that I think I know, a lot of people who are in crypto are very new to finance. So just a little tidbit, the cryptocurrency market is far more extreme than the stock market is. So if you've made it this far, like, you are a literal trooper. It's not a joke. Crypto is rough for beginners. It's a very crazy learning curve. So if you've made it this far and you've been accumulating, and you are bound to make a lot of money in this market. That's the Raoul Pal says that by the end of this month and for 3 months subsequently after that, prices will rise into the banana zone. And also the Michael Saylor says Bitcoin's going up in price as well. But that's, I mean, this guy owns like 7 trillion Bitcoin. So I assume he's never going to be bearish on his gigantic investment. Okie dokie. Let's move on. Welcome back to another edition of this should have been major news, but once again, people don't find it interesting. Because it basically always has to, if not all the time, has to do with prices within the cryptocurrency space. So I've noticed, much to my... I almost said my annoyment. Is annoyment a word? I'm annoyed. He is in annoyment. Am I thinking anointment? Much to my annoyance, every single time we get really like big news, and I mean like stratospherically good like adoption news, I'm not expecting a bump up in price, but I'm at least expecting people to be like, that's huge, that's major. What? I can't believe it. Because it keeps happening every single gosh darn day. Abu Dhabi, via its sovereign wealth fund, has apparently invested $436 million into BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin ETF. We have heard for a while now, it's been mainly since last summer, if you've been missing it. What's happening all the time is that a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands have been going through SEC filings. There's always thousands of SEC filings. It's not just crypto. There's always new things entering the stock market, new funds, you name it. There's always a securitized version of everything. A lot of people have been going through filings with the SEC, basically trying to figure out who has been buying up large amounts of Bitcoin through the ETFs. If I remember correctly, I believe if you have an allocation over $100 million, I think that's what it is, you have to file with the US SEC. That's how last summer, we started getting all this like really incredible news that this country, that country, this country, this bank, we're all investing in Bitcoin. And those weren't like, wishful thinking kind of videos. It was like, no, we could actually click and see the actual filing from these central banks who were holding tons of Bitcoin. If you missed a month ago as well, that's when we got news that the Bank of Montreal and Barclays within the UK are each roughly holding around $150 million worth of Bitcoin. Did the Bank of Montreal and Barclays come forward and tell the public? No, they were simply listed on the SEC's website. And someone found that it was like, yeah, these purchases happened essentially in secret. So whenever we get news about it, it's typically about a filing that happened last quarter or the quarter before that, as people are looking to see what's going on. So once again, Abu Dhabi has invested nearly $500 million, $500 million US dollars into Bitcoin. This investment, alongside previous ventures like Bitcoin mining in Abu Dhabi, shows growing crypto adoption in the Middle East. This has been happening for a while. Once again, there's a really odd, like American-centric kind of idea within crypto that things are only happening within the States. We've been going through that since 2017. And a lot of the market was shooketh by the end of 2017, when we found out one of the main reasons why we were accelerating in price was because of Japan and South Korea. People were like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And I was like, yeah, the rest of the world also exists. So around 2018, oh, this is an old one. There was a news story that was like circulating in the crypto space in 2018 where this guy from Dubai, he was a wealth manager. He was like, yeah, I've been tasked with, the money of some of my clients. And, I'm here to learn about Bitcoin, but I'm also here to buy a lot as well. He said he had a client who was telling him like per week, he was like, buy up like $5 million worth of Bitcoin. And I remember like pointing to the screen and being like, is anyone else listening to this? And of course, very, very few people actually did. But no, the Middle East has like really actually been at the forefront of crypto for a while. Dubai is like known as like one of like the cryptocurrency hotspots. It's not like some new place that I've heard of Dubai once or twice. No, like it's huge. So we got news years ago. I believe that Saudi Arabia is also like very heavy into crypto, and also Abu Dhabi as well. The problem is that their names only get some kind of a glimmer in the eyes of a lot of people if it's attached in a sentence to the word BlackRock. No, my friend, these people are like, they're not even like normal wealthy. They're like, I was going to say kingdom wealthy, but that doesn't even remotely compare as well. You don't understand the amount of wealth that's actually in that portion of the world. Like, you cannot mentally understand how rich these people actually are. And once again, also, Abu Dhabi has also been mining Bitcoin for a number of years. We had that news years ago as well, that basically any country near the equator who had money and who has access to like, 16 hours worth of sunlight every single day, they've basically been mining crypto for a number of years. So yeah, right. Not to dig too much further into the announcement, but yeah, Abu Dhabi officially owns $500 million just in BlackRock's iShares. We know that they're mining Bitcoin. And remember, when people mine Bitcoin, what do? You're not going to get it. They usually don't sell. People who are mining Bitcoin are mining it for themselves. They're not mining it for you or to add new coins to the network. They're doing it because they have the money and they want more money. So, yeah. And this is also like, this is only because someone found a filing. We would have never known otherwise if this wasn't like an obligation by the SEC to actually file. And we also have no idea how much Bitcoin they have like in physical Bitcoin, like actually on chain, that they've probably been buying since around 2014 to 2017. Anywho, that's the Abu Dhabi news. Crazy, right? Whoa, I'm so shocked. I cannot believe that a wealthy country would ever do something like that. How could that have possibly happened to Bitcoin? Okie dokie. Let's move on. Also, for some reason in crypto news, and it's like, okay, like I get it, but it's also like, okay, the total amount of household debt in the United States has surged to a new record level. In its quarterly report on household debt and credit, the New York Fed says that the total household debt has hit a 21-year high. U.S. household debt is currently at $18 trillion, and that was the end of Q4 2024. I saw an article, was it from Bloomberg or something? It was some video on YouTube. It was either Bloomberg or CNBC, and it had such like a weird negative tone. They were saying that more Americans are trying to save more. Like they're trying to save to buy a home, or they're trying to save just to have like a savings account or something like that. But the video itself, the tone was like, why are Americans spending less? And they were talking to these economists who were like, it's kind of weird. I don't get why people aren't spending all of their money. Like the whole video, there was no like, people are tired of being broke. People want to have savings. People would like to have investments. It was like, yeah, we're seeing consumer spending dropping and we don't really know why. And it's like, because maybe people are tired of being consumers. I've said in many other videos now, if you have not already done so, this is financial advice. Please make a savings account like right now. Just do it. start saving your money. And I don't mean like a I want to go buy nice stuff in nice weeks kind of fun. I mean like saving it to save it in case of like an emergency. Not you want new shoes, not you want to buy something nice for the house, like you lost your job or like money's not coming in kind of savings fund, because what we're witnessing is only going to get worse, not better, ever. So I think it has some correlation to do with crypto in some sort of way. Years ago, if you were here years ago, we used to get a lot of news like this as far as like debt and U.S. households and people going broke, like all these other kinds of things. And now it's, I guess, rearing its head back into $18 trillion. If you can avoid it, do not get yourself into debt. It's not worth it in any form or capacity. And I know that it's difficult sometimes to hear that because we've been told our entire lives that not only do we have to spend everything that we have, but if we want something nice, the only way that we should be able to procure it is by basically getting in an extreme amount of debt, anywhere from 15 to 30 years plus. If you can avoid it, please avoid it. It is not worth it at all. That's an increase of $93 billion on a quarter-on-quarter basis and a $3.9 trillion surge since the end of 2019. In the same exact video, they were talking about in 2020 how like they were shocked because people were saving more. And it's like, yeah, well, people were locked at home and also people were losing their jobs. So like people kind of kicked into, adrenaline mode. Let me start saving more. But there was a huge campaign, you might have missed it or not even noticed it, of all these like buy now, pay later things that began to pop up in 2021. Do you know why? Because all these companies were annoyed that you were at home without a job, not spending your money. So they basically devised a plan together. This isn't a joke at all. They devised a plan to basically make it a lot easier for people to get into like smaller amounts of debt to be able to continuously fuel these companies. One of the ideas basically surrounded the idea of people usually make frivolous purchases of $30 to $50, maybe once or twice, thrice per week. But if they could convince you that you don't have to pay that money back at the exact same time, people then are more inclined to basically want to pay it over a long period of time and also purchase a lot more in that period of time. So let's say you make a $100 purchase and you have to pay it back over the course of 12 months. It's around $8 or $9 per month. Your normal allocation would go, well, I have about like 50 to 100 per week that I'm spending on frivolous things, and I only just paid $8. So you would start to purchase more, not realizing that you're literally matching that amount, but you've bought about 6 or 7 times more than you would have normally done on a debt basis. So you're paying it back to this company in slow payments, and it doesn't look as bad, but you've also purchased more things than you would have because the 8 is smaller than the 50 or the 100. It's very, very interesting. It's really, really like, it's all completely done on purpose. Here's a little terrible chart right here basically showing the majority of it is coming from mortgages, auto loans, credit card, and student loan debt as well. There are always alternatives to getting into debt. Always. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. It's like years ago when I used to tell you, remember all these other YouTubers, all these other finance YouTubers who I'll never forget. I won't say a name. There was one guy, he was telling people to get into debt. He's like, it's not that bad. I was like, dude, you're worth like $30 million. You getting a mortgage that's $2,000 a month isn't going to hurt your pocket. But you telling your listeners to like, go buy a multifamily home. The rent that you'll be getting is like $6,000, but your mortgage is only $5,000. And it's like, yeah, you have to hope that everyone's actually paying. You have that mortgage for the next 30 years. You're going to be it's a whole thing. So if you can avoid debt, avoid it, especially if you're into crypto. And once again, if you plan on taking profits and stuff like that, use that money to acquire assets. And also this should go without saying. Do not get into debt for crypto. Do not. Do not. Do not. Do not. Because what ends up happening is, remember how, like, a couple of weeks ago, Bitcoin really fell? This usually happens when people start taking out debt and over leverage themselves. So they'll buy in at 109,000 with like $15,000, $20,000 in debt. The price goes down, and guess who still has to make payments back? Do not. Anyway, yeah, this was also popular crypto news, and I get it, but it's like, oh, okay, sure, why not? News kind of came out of nowhere, but I mean, also, $18 trillion is about 18 trillion too high. Yeah, don't forget to save your money. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.